So I had some questions on about how to sew on applique, like on swimsuits. Like how do I sew this? How do you attach the two, right? So I'm making a strawberry bathing suit. I have my pattern, which I already cut out. So this will be sewn on top. And I made the length of this, the green, what is this called? Leaf. I made the length so it just covers the line of where about like your nipples will be, because if it's just the red and you just have the lining, it will be a little bit transparent. So I made this longer so you won't have to do like triple lining on the underside and it becomes really thick. So you place how you want it. First, you want to just start putting pins anywhere and everywhere. This is just to keep it in place, right? You put a bunch of pins everywhere just to hold the fabric in place, right? I also recommend, you see these edges here? You might want to put a pin across the top just to hold this fabric in, especially when you're sewing around this. This is the chances of moving. So the more pins is actually the better. If you want, instead of using pins, you can baste it by hand with a thread, but I find that takes a lot longer, so I use pins. It's much faster. So now what you want to do, because this edge along here and around blah blah blah, that we're going to hand baste the two pieces together. There's no point using machine because it's just going to get too thick. But here, because this is like a permanent sewing, we're going to use a zigzag stitch. You need lots and lots of pins. So we're going to sew this part on first and then we'll hand baste around. So you start getting your pins. And you put them fairly close together, almost like a centimeter apart. I find them, see look, because now they're just as close as it would be for if you would hand sew it, right? This will keep the fabric from moving, because if you're sewing stretchy on stretchy, right, the chances of it, even if it's stretch on and like a non-stretch fabric or woven, the chances of it moving, especially when you're doing letters, if you're sewing on letters, things will move and then you'll get all of a sudden your letters are going sideways or crooked, or the letters all distorted. You have to baste it or use a lot of pins and go slowly, especially or else this will all move and then you'll get like this over here and this is all screwed up. Sewing this on, I've already done all this side here. Before, to get the proper width and the length that you want, just try it on a scrap piece of fabric here to find the zigzag setting that you want. And any kind of corners or edges and inside corners here, it's best to go use the hand wheel to move around. And the way I do it is I put the needle just on the edge of the red, so it goes, the zigzag goes on the green and then on the red. That way then it will look like it's like folded into the fabric and it has a nice clean finish. Then if you just do your zigzagging on the green, or if you do overlapping a lot, then you can see green thread on the red material. So you want it just next to the green. You want to keep the pins in as long as possible. Every so often, if it like starts to bunch up, you just raise the presser foot just to realign everything. Okay, so after you finish zigzagging the bottom layer on, see if you don't see this. See here, because the fabric wasn't cut as smooth, there's a little edge here. But in general, it will look somewhat like this. Okay, for these outer edges, you want to hand baste it. So you're picking a contrasting thread color. I'm just using black. You just get the thread, goes in and out. There's no knot, and it's a single layer of thread here. We're just going to go in and out all around the perimeter. Just leave a little tail at the end, and then this will help hold it in and until you get to the elastic stage. And afterwards, because you want to use different colors, so that way you can pull it out afterwards. After you finish all the basting around, you want to you can take out all the pins, and even though you cut it and it's the exact same pattern, but still sometimes you can have minor movements. So you flip it over and you see all this extra green that's outside and here and stuff. You just want to go in with scissors and trim off all the little bits. Finished I hand basted on the lining because I want to sew on the black seeds now. Because if you just sew the black seeds on just to the red fabric, it won't look as nice because it's very thin, and so when you do the zigzag, the fabric will get like all bunched up. What you could do instead, you can put like a thick interfacing on the back, but since you're going to do so many, it will just take too much time. So you just instead put the lining first, and then we're going to do all the little seeds. Just use like a pencil, and then you can draw the lines of where you want to put all the seeds all randomly, and then I will just the same for the butt as well. The back, and for my symbol, I always, because it's like any kind of embroidery work, because I don't have an embroidery machine, so I do it by hand. So you need a thick piece of interfacing for that, and then I'm just going to trim this down. This is just a zigzag stitch on the shortest length possible with the wider width. And you just go back stitch all the way down, back stitch again. There's the finished swimsuit. Looks like this. And there's the applique stitching. The back green straps.